I guess this is such a general question, but how important was your collaboration with Bobby? Because I mean, there's that one. I don't want to give too much away. There's just that one
Give it
sequence.
away.
I mean, that one sequence where where you compress the time by talking about the plane ride and the journey
Yes,
to
her performance there is unbelievable. Look, I wrote the script knowing that whoever it was that was going to choreograph the movie was going to, in a way, become half the movie. And even before I had finished writing the script, a friend told me, you have to look at the work of this woman, Bobbi Jene Smith. And she had just made a documentary about her life called Bobbi Jene that hadn't even come out yet. And I saw some of her work online, and I just understood she was a person that I had to work with. Her work's so emotional. It's not like your usual choreographer. It's like it has technique and it has structure, but it comes so much from the inside. And that's what this movie needed, right? The movement needed to be emotional. And the dance needed to feel not like the usual movie or Broadway dance where like you have a scene and then you have dance and it's very presentational and show busy. I wanted to make a movie that used dance in a way that maybe you've never really seen dance used before in a film. Contemporary dance that was part of the fabric of the storytelling, not just like highlight dance sequences. So once Bobbi came on board, she really became my partner. She cast the movie with all the characters are dancers that are friends she's worked with in the past in the Batsheva Dance Company in Israel and people she knew in New York from that show, Sleep No More. So the movie is half Bobby's in terms of like its vision and what you see. Yeah.
There are moments in this movie when you're talking that I guess in the beginning we're talking about the montage, which compresses the time. You get to really know them within several minutes. There's so many inspiring moments. I remembered it made me feel like when I was in my early 20s watching Godard's Breathless for the first time and seeing them move around that apartment room. And, you're such an experienced filmmaker. You're talking about how do you get to that authentic place? Because this movie feels not, in a sense, it's a wise film, but it really feels that it's made by a young filmmaker with just tons of passion. I'm just wondering, is it, even with all the ability you have now, is it hard to get to that place, or is one overthinking things when it in
No,
craft?
no, it does, for lack of a better word, feels to me like the youngest movie I've made, maybe since I started making movies. And I think that look, I've had a very strange career in terms of like how I try and approach things and so on. But I think too many people get into a place where they know, quote unquote, what they're doing. They stop trying to challenge themselves. They do what they're doing well and they make a lot of money or whatever it is, but to me, for a creative person, an artist in any field or a creative person in any field, challenging yourself and doing things you've never tried before is the most important thing to keep you alive and to keep other people feeling like they're seeing and experiencing something that has a freshness to it and that can relate to them in that way. So it was a combination. Like I was only able to pull this movie off in the time and with the budget that we had because of my experience. Like there were times where I would be seeing one of Bobby's super complex dance sequences that because we had a 6-week prep period, I barely had a chance to see rehearsed. And me and Arseni had to be like, okay, there's 15 people flying around this room right now. What the fuck are we going to do? And do it in half a day. And I was only able to do that because of the level of experience that I've had. But at the same time, I was treating this movie very much influenced by the way someone like Godard was treating movies in the 60s. In fact, a movie that he made, not while I was writing it, but while I was working on directing it, that influenced me a lot, is a movie he called, I think, I could be wrong, it's called Enfant, or A Woman is a Woman,
Okay, yeah.
where it's almost a musical, but it isn't, and it's got young Belmondo in it, and it's also got this thing where like you'll see the lights that are lighting the scene in the shots, and there's no pretense in it that they're not making a movie. Everything in it. There's even a scene where one of the characters walks from room to room holding a lamp to light the scene as he goes from one room
Yeah.
to the next room, And I was just like, man, I feel like we haven't grown at all since Godard in the 1960s. Like he was just doing things and opening up movies in a way that we haven't even responded to. So yeah, to me, it was a combination of exactly what you're saying, of kind of using my experience to make the youngest movie that I've ever made.